every year millions of people flock to national parks and wilderness areas to enjoy the great outdoors. People come to escape the stresses of their hectic modern life, enjoy outdoor activities, and take in the majestic scenery. Yet some of these places seem to have a sinister underbelly, seemingly hungry to pull in people who venture into these wilds and make sure they never return. One place that has long married spectacular nature with baffling disappearances is a mountain range on the east coast of the United States of America, which possesses vast natural vistas, thousands of miles of famous hiking trails, and the most visited national park in the country. It is also home to ominous mysteries and strange vanishings that continue to remain unsolved to this day. Sprawled out along the Tennessee-North Carolina border in the southeastern United States, covering a vast expanse that includes 187,000 acres of old-growth forest, is a sub-range of the Appalachian Mountains called the Great Smoky Mountains. Also known as the Smoky Mountains or simply the Smokies, due to the frequent fog that covers the mountains here and which looks like smoke from a distance. Designated as a UNESCO, which stands for the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, as a World Heritage Site, the Great Smoky Mountains are home to a wide array of plants and animals, one of the most diverse ecosystems in North America, and the popular Great Smoky Mountains National Park, which is the most visited national park in the United States. With around 10 million visitors annually, it is perhaps no surprise that some people may get lost in the wilderness here, and many are, but they are typically located by dedicated rescue efforts within 48 hours. What is surprising is just how many people have come to visit only to seemingly step off the face of the earth and never be seen again. Indeed, for decades these mountains have steadily accrued a rather sinister reputation for a number of mysterious disappearances and deaths that are often as bizarre as they are unexplained. Perhaps the most well-known, oft-discussed, and indeed stranger of vanishings in the Great Smoky Mountains is the disappearance of 6-year-old Dennis Martin. On June 14, 1969, Father's Day weekend, the boy's family was out on a camping and hiking trip they took every year in the Great Smoky Mountains. On this day, the family had stopped off at a grassy mountain highland meadow and popular stop-off point along the Appalachian Trail known as Spence Field. As the adults sat out on the grass chatting, Dennis, his brother, and 2 other boys on the trip thought it would be amusing to play a prank on their parents. They decided that they would split up, go out into the woods, and then simultaneously jump out from different directions to startle the adults in what was meant to be just harmless fun. 3 of the boys went one way and Dennis, who was the youngest, went the other. The reason he had been chosen to be on his own was that he was wearing a highly visible bright red shirt. Just as planned, the 3 older boys jumped out and scared the adults. But then the men asked where Dennis was. Since the other boys had seen him just a few minutes earlier, they assumed that he had merely missed his cue and so they waited for him to jump out of the trees as well, but he never appeared. Dennis' father, Bill Martin, went out to get his son, expecting that he would be there hiding in the bushes as he had been instructed, but an immediate search of the area showed no signs of the boy, and calls into the woods went unanswered. Increasingly worried, Bill and Dennis' grandfather, Clyde Martin, hiked out in different directions farther and farther from the place where the boy had last been seen and still they found nothing. Park rangers were notified and a search was launched that would last until nightfall, when heavy rain began to come down along with thunder, which hampered efforts to find the boy, and the search was called off until the following day with still no trace of where Dennis had gone off to. In a rather ominous twist, some mere hours after Dennis had gone missing, a family named the Keys reported that they had been hiking around 6 miles from Spence Field when they had heard a boy's scream. The son also claimed to have seen movement in a bush which he at first had thought to be a bear, but turned out to be a man walking in the woods with something apparently slung over his shoulder. As spooky as this may seem, authorities determined that the location was too far away from Spence Field to possibly have anything to do with Dennis within the time frame of events. In the following days the search efforts would quickly grow in size to hundreds of people scouring the area, including park rangers, locals, volunteers, the FBI, National Guard, and even Green Berets and psychics, along with bloodhounds and helicopters. And meanwhile the news of the disappearance had started making major national headlines. Since Dennis was described as a robust, healthy boy with plenty of hiking experience, it was thought that he was alive and would be found in short order, but continuing heavy rains flooding roads, as well as thick fogs, made efforts difficult. For their part, Dennis's parents posted a hefty reward for any information leading to finding their son. As the weeks went by, hope that the missing boy had survived dwindled. A few possible traces of the boy turned up in the form of small footprints and a pair of boy's underwear found in the woods near Spence Field, but it was determined that the possibility that the footprints were linked to Dennis was remote, and the Dennis mother said the underwear did not belong to her son. The search would stretch on for months with no trace of the boy found, although the manpower behind efforts had withered away considerably, and it was largely assumed by frustrated authorities that he was likely dead. Rumors and theories swirled as to what could have become of Dennis Martin. One idea was that he had been kidnapped, but no one could figure out a motive for such a thing nor who could have orchestrated it with such perfect timing. He also may have gotten lost, but this seems odd considering he was meant to wait right near the field and pop out to surprise the adults. Why would he have wandered off, and why wouldn't he leave any tracks or indeed any sign of where he had gone? Indeed, why wouldn't he have called out for help? Yet another theory was that he might have been suddenly attacked and dragged off by some wild animal, but again why hadn't he called out for help? In the end, Dennis Martin was never found, and absolutely no trace of him has ever turned up. His odd case remains open to this day. Over the years, some bizarre details of the case have turned up. Author and researcher David Paulides, most well known for his investigations into mysterious disappearances and his series of books on the matter, The Missing 411, interviewed author Dwight McCarter, author of Lost, a Ranger's Journal of Search and Rescue, who had a strange tale to tell about the Martin case. McCarter claimed that during the search for Dennis, the Special Forces units that had been called in had barely communicated at all with authorities, ranger, or civilian searchers, instead working on their own, as if they had their own agenda, and that they had been heavily armed as if expecting something big to happen. What could this mean? Another weird detail is that the lead FBI investigator on the case, an Agent Jim Reich, later committed suicide for unknown reasons. Thank you for watching part 1 of our 3-part series discussing strange disappearances in the Smoky Mountains. If you have experienced a rather strange event, similar to those mentioned, or if you would simply like to chat, please post down below. I would like to hear from you. Make certain to like and subscribe. Share if you feel inclined. Also, if you like the social media thing, you can link to us via the standard allotted social sites in the description. Guys, stay safe. Have a great night.